Hi, one of the questions I've got is how can I overcome a stammering voice? I've never had a stutter or a stammer. I have worked with a few people who do, so I can only go from my experience and the things that they've told me. One of the things is public speaking has been found to help, and I think this is something about the breathing and about focus. And I do know people that stutter or stammer in normal conversation but don't when they're giving a speech. And I did work with I know that there's some research that came out in Australia about this if you wanted to research it. And I also worked with a group in Madrid who did a type of Toastmasters, and they had really great results in terms of that. But again, a lot of it was back to breathing, and also having a prepared speech takes away some of the pressure about having to think about what you're saying. And one of the really good things about this is to experience what it's like without the stutter or stammer, because you need to persuade yourselves very often that you're okay and that you can get through certain situations. And that's one of the things that I'm really big on is to break down which situations trigger you more. And it's possible with the stuttering and stammering, I don't know you, that maybe you have it in every situation. I don't know. But what makes it worse? What makes it easier to get through? And the questions that I normally ask people to think about are the who, what, why, when, where, how. So if you write all those words down, so who are you speaking to when it's much more pronounced? Who are you speaking to when it seems to your speaking flows more? And ideally, what you're looking for, even if it's a really small difference, are differences that, in this situation, talking to this person, it's a little bit easier. And again, that is something that then you can try and copy and repeat for other things. But so, for example, there's lots of factors. There's the who you're speaking to, where do you feel a lot safer and a lot more comfortable speaking at home? And what are you speaking about? Are the subjects that you get so excited about that you just rush and flow and start speaking? Are the subjects that you feel quite self-conscious about? As I said, all these little things, the goal is for you to start seeing, instead of saying, when I speak, I stutter, or when I speak, I have a stammer, to actually break it down and say, in this particular situation, I'll give it's a 10 out of 10, it's really bad. In this situation, it's a 2 out of 10, it's not so bad. And at least then you can start thinking to yourself, I wonder why it's a 2 out of 10. What's happening for me? Because it's not just, the mechanics of speaking. It's clearly something about the story that's in your head and different things. Talking about stories in head. I've never had a stammer or a stutter, but I have had this problem of indecision in terms of knowing what to say. And this one time I went to Australia. I was doing a Tony Robbins course, and I really wanted to make friends with the other people that were on the course. And I cared about how they thought about me. And that to me just makes things worse in terms of me second guessing what I'm saying. This was a few years ago, just more than a few years ago, 15 or so years ago. And they put us into a group, and there's quite a lot in the group, about 40 or 50 people in the group. And then they were doing a register, and I noticed people were saying different, somebody would call their name and the other person would say yes or here. And now my name's Whitlock, so I expected to be at the end. And throughout the whole time, everybody saying their names, they're going, yes, here, yes, yes, here. And I kept thinking, what's the right thing to say? What's the right thing to say? As if there is a right thing to say. It was like, should I say yes or should I say here? And when they said Joanne Whitlock, I hadn't decided yet. I'd been so indecisive. I hadn't decided yet whether the right thing to say was yes or here, and they kind of took me by surprise. So when they said Joanne Whitlock, I went to say yes, and then I changed my mind to say here halfway through. You can imagine. So as I say, there's 50 people that I'm really trying to impress, and they go, Joanne Whitlock, and I go, yeah. I'm like, Joanne, it would have been better if you'd have just... it didn't matter whether I said yes or here, but going was just like the worst thing you could possibly do. And I was really embarrassed afterwards, and a few people stared at me. But for me, that was really useful also. It's just like, what is it about me that I'm so obsessed about saying the right thing, particularly when I'm trying to impress other people? I don't know if this has got anything to do with stuttering and stammering for you. And it's possible that maybe you need to see a speech therapist. I'm not a speech therapist. I only work with people who are already working and speaking and maybe feeling that they need some help. And as I say, I've told you about the specific experience that I have, but I've never been a speech therapist. So if that's somebody that you feel you need to speak to, please do. And I hope really that just gives you a little bit of an insight from somebody who teaches speaking skills, how they feel about handling and trying to tell a different story in your head about the stuttering and stammering, with a view that that will help you be a much more fluid speaker. Take care. Bye.